Hey everybody, how you doing? Joe here. Welcome. On this video, I'm going to be talking about the real benefits of why investors like me and investors all over the country are flipping vacant land instead of houses, and why this is going to be one of the best, most amazing, awesome strategies that you've ever heard of, all right? But I first want to let you know, listen, if you want more information, I'm going to be sharing some cool stuff with you here, and I'm actually going to be sharing a spreadsheet with you that breaks down the numbers. Some of you spreadsheet geeks like me like looking at spreadsheets and kind of what's possible, and I think you'll see from the spreadsheet, I'm going to show it to you in a minute, what's so awesome about it. And you can get it for free at simplelandkit.com. One of the cool things about simplelandkit.com, it's a free giveaway that I'm giving away now for free, but I'm going to be charging soon for this. I don't know, $7, $27. And in there I have my direct mail swipe file, I have some of my contracts, I have my scripts for sellers, for buyers, for realtors, and I have some software and this spreadsheet that you're going to see soon, where you can it'll help you evaluate deals, come up with offers, see what's possible, and things like that. So you can get it for free. What? simplelandkit.com, simplelandkit.com. And I also want to ask you guys, if you can, please leave a review. I mean, like, I used to saying that for podcasts, but give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that notification button, and let me know that you like this channel. All right, so should we get into this? Why vacant land? Well, for me, the number one reason why I wanted to do it is I wanted something that I could do with my kids. And these are two deals that I did with my kids. One was in Wilkes County, North Carolina. We made a $20,206 profit on 11.5 acres. You notice we're not doing anything to this land. We're not developing it. We're not doing any entitlements. We're not clearing any trees. We're not doing any rehabs, whatever, right? This was a 5-acre property in Wilkes County, North Carolina. By the way, we've done deals in about 7 or 8 different states. And we made $11,224 profit on that one. On these two deals, we did $8,000 profit in Kern County, California. This is north of, kind of east and north of LA. 1 acre, $8,000 wholesale profit. And in Klamath County, Oregon, we made a $7,500 wholesale profit on 2 acres. Again, these are properties out in the middle of nowhere. We didn't do anything to them. We made simple offers to the sellers. 1 out of every 20 to 30 got accepted. And we flipped them. We wholesaled them. The other reason I love land is because I've been doing houses for a long, long time, and I started having students and friends that were crushing it doing land, and they were telling me all about it. And one of my students and friends, Phil Marsh from Illinois, he was doing some houses. I was helping him a little bit, and he was crushing it with land. And I was like, man, what's going on? And I interviewed him on my podcast. This was a couple years ago. And within a year, he was making over $10,000 a month in passive cash flow from the notes that he was selling. So he was buying land, selling them on owner financing, and making over 10 grand a month. I still talk to Phil regularly. I learn a lot from him too, like things that he's doing and how he's doing it. And so it's great. And so I started interviewing guys like Phil, and I started seeing that a lot of these guys were making good money, just as much money as my other students who were doing houses, but were not having as hard of a time. It was actually a lot easier. So I asked Phil to give me some example deals that he did, and I'm using these with permission. This was a property, what did I say, in Polk County, Florida. Yeah, Polk County, Florida. You notice nothing. There's nothing out there, right? There's no preparers to estimate, no ARVs, no 2-week inspection contingencies. You're not competing against 1,000 other investors for these properties. These are just raw land, dirt. All right, in this example, he bought it for $2,500, sold it for $25,000 on owner financing. His total profit on this deal was $22,499. But look at the owner financing terms, and this is why I love land. It's because of this number right here. Cash flow, $654 a month for 4 years with only $2,500 out of his pocket. Let me ask you something. Where can you do that with houses, with commercial property, with anything else? Cash flow. And by the way, is Phil having to deal with the typical landlord headaches, tenant hassles and pains like repairs and maintenance? Does he need a property manager? Does he have to go out and get a loan, worrying about refinancing and high interest rates? Do you know anywhere else where you can get $654 a month in cash flow, monthly cash flow for 4 years for only $2,500 out of your pocket? You could put that $2,500 on a credit card if you wanted to, right? All right, so here's another example deal I asked Phil to share with me on that podcast. And this was a property in Oregon. Again, There is an old abandoned cabin there, but there is nothing out there on these properties. He bought it for 25 grand, sold it for 50 grand, profit of 25,000. But look at, he got a $15,000 down payment on this property from his end buyer. So what was his out of pocket? He bought it for 25. He got a $15,000 down payment. His out of pocket was only $10,000. And look at this monthly cash flow he's getting for 3 years. $1,174 in monthly cash flow by selling these vacant lots on terms, okay? Most of the deals that we do, we're selling for cash, but just with, barely playing around with this, most, like I'd say 85% of our deals, we sell for quick profits. I call it like piles of cash or streams of cash, right? So 85-90% of our deals, we just wholesale for quick cash. But the little 10% that we're doing, we're already at like $3,500 or $3,600 a month in regular consistent cash flow without even hardly trying. And the average size of our notes are $350 a month. Some of the easiest money that you can ever get. And this is why I love land investing so much, is because you get great cash flow with very little money out of your pocket. Okay. Now, some of you are wondering, I have here this mind map I'm going to be sharing with you. Where did Phil get the money to buy these deals? I asked him that question. Some of it was his own money. Some of it was profits that he put back into his business. Some of it was private money capital. But don't worry about all that. If you are a student of mine, or if you watch my YouTube channel, I'm going to show you how to get the money. It's easy. We have the money for your deals. So I started interviewing a lot of other people on my podcast. And now, again, I have to be real careful about using testimonials or making this sound like this is typical and this is not. Most of these people that I interview that invest in land, that do have great success, are the exception, not the norm. Okay, I have to explain that because our results aren't typical. All right, now these guys that I interviewed on my podcast, I did not verify their numbers. All right, I can verify and my numbers, but so anyway, just you take this with a grain of salt. But I started interviewing people on my podcast, like Ray. I interviewed him, I think, in September of last year, and he was netting over $800,000 so far that year on flipping land. This was Travis, who makes millions of dollars lending money and doing deals. Willie makes over 50 grand a year in the Chicago area. What? Flipping vacant land. I started interviewing guys like Pete. He's averaging 500 grand a month flipping vacant land. Even if he's like half of that, that's $250,000 a month flipping vacant land. Victor is getting 24 grand a month. Jamie, 10 to 20 grand a month. Phil's making over 12 grand a month in notes. In fact, I talked to Phil the other day. He said his biggest problem is he's got too many deals right now, and he's just needing some help to help him sell them, which is a good problem to have. PJ Riley is, I forget his number. Oh, yeah, he's doing 15 grand a month here. I met and interviewed Alicia, who's doing deals from Australia. I interviewed a guy, or I'm going to be interviewing a guy, I met him the other day, from Germany, who's done over 300 vacant land deals in the United States. So that's coming to my YouTube channel soon, so stay tuned for that. Clint, a really cool dude who teaches land also, but does a ton of deals. When I interviewed him, he was doing over 50 grand a month in notes. Anthony had made over $3 million in the last 2 years. And my good buddy Brent, I just talked to him yesterday, from I forget the name of his company. Anyway, he's doing over 30 grand a month in passive income from notes from vacant land. Now, let me ask you something. How many of you could quit your job making 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand a month in recurring passive income from vacant land? And here's the cool thing about recurring income passively from vacant land. You don't have to manage any tenants. You don't have to do any repairs. How many of you have ever owned a rental property? Do you know what I'm talking about? Are you smelling what I'm stepping in? Like, it's a pain in the butt. It's a hassle. It's a nightmare. Well, what if you could get the same or better cash flow without having to go out and get a loan, take on a bunch of debt? With houses, you're doing good if you can get 10 to 12% cash on cash return. I'll show you in a minute on the spreadsheet. We're getting 50 to 100% cash on cash return in the first year from our vacant land deals, without all of the tenants and hassles and headaches of dealing with normal rental properties. Now, there are some advantages to doing houses. I have to admit that, right? Like, you get better tax write-offs and depreciation, but that's also a benefit. Land doesn't depreciate. That's a good thing too, right? There's nothing to fix up. But there are more tax advantages to doing houses, and you can use debt, leverage to invest in residential properties, and you can hold residential properties for forever and sell and rent them to get income. But you always have to be pouring money back into it to fix things. You do not have to pour any money into vacant land. That's why I love it so much. Does that make sense? All right, let's get back to the mind map here. And if you get my mind map too, by the way, I have a Google Doc link to some of my favorite podcast interviews that I've ever done, and some of my own podcasts where I talk about how these vacant land deals work. One of my favorite podcasts I did a long time ago with a guy named Scott Todd from Land Geek, works with Mark Podolsky. And this is a podcast that got me really excited about vacant land. And in this, he talked about how he was stuck in kind of a corporate job that had golden handcuffs. And he saw the writing on the wall. He was going to have to leave. So he started flipping vacant land. And by the time he did get the pink slip, he had enough income from his notes to replace his job. And he was glad it happened. I remember that so clearly when I was working in my job. I was extremely nervous that if I did lose my job, I was 2 paychecks away from bankruptcy, right? I was making good money. I was making 75 grand a year. This was back in 2009 when I quit my job. I was making very good money back then, right? As a civil engineer working on power plants and stuff. But I was petrified because if I lost my job, I had nothing to fall back on. I was totally 100% reliant and dependent on my company being gracious enough to give me a paycheck every 2 weeks. And no matter how hard I worked, no matter how much profit I brought to the bottom line of the company, I got paid the same. And if I was lucky, every year I'd get a 3 to 5% raise. I'd maybe get an extra few days or a week of vacation. So for me, I just knew this wasn't for me, right? I didn't like working in a cubic hell, as I call it back then. I was grateful for my job. I was grateful for my education and what got me to where I was. I was making good money, nothing to complain about, right? I know these are first world problems kind of like, but I wanted to be able to control my own destiny in a certain sense where I didn't want to have to worry about getting fired, getting laid off, being paycheck to paycheck. I wanted to take, that's sometimes the most dangerous position you can be in is having a paycheck job, a W-2 job. To be an employee, that can be more dangerous than actually going out and starting your business if you have the right strategies, which is why, again, I like vacant land so much. Let's back to this mind map now. Now, again, as I'm talking about these results and all these people that we're interviewing, results aren't typical. And I'll be honest with you, I say this all the time. Most people fail in this business. Most people, when they get into the business, they want to make money doing real estate. They don't make any money at all, and they lose money. So I don't want you to be like that, but that's just the way it is. Now, the other reason I love land is there is a lot less competition. This is so important to understand. People don't know about land yet. My direct mail response rates are 3 to 5 times higher than houses. Normally with houses, you're lucky if you get half of 1% response rate on your direct mail, for example. With land, normally we're at 1 to 2 to 3% response rate with our direct mail. It all depends on the county, depends on what you're sending. But here's the cool thing. You can do this in the United States from anywhere in the world. And I've done deals from 4 different countries while traveling with my wife and our 4 kids. But I know people that are doing this from Germany, from Australia, many other countries. So this is something you can do literally from a cafe in Prague, a chateau in southern France, from an RV in Yellowstone. Ask me how I know. I'm telling you. In fact, this is the summer of 2023. In the spring of 24, I'm going back to Prague with my wife and probably 2 kids because they're getting older now. Gosh, we're going to be there hopefully for a month or 2 doing deals. And guess what, guys? There is a ton of land out there. If I were to show you a map, most of the United States is vacant land, right? Only maybe 20% of the entire U.S. is city or urban or suburban areas. So there's over 3,000 counties. There's a lot of it out there. The other reason why I love land is I'm busy and I don't like talking to sellers. I'm not even that good at it. But you don't have to talk to sellers. The way we do it, hopefully you can see this. I'll zoom in even more. I don't want to answer the phones live. When you're doing houses, it's really important that you're answering the phones live. As soon as the seller calls in, you call them back right away. But I don't want to have to answer the phones live. I don't want to have to pay for expensive live answering services either. And I don't like negotiating huge discounts with sellers on the phone, trying to build rapport, following a script and all that. I want to build a real business that has automation in it, okay? So what we do is we send every seller to a voicemail. Our voicemail says, our postcards or letters say, hey, please text or call our 24-hour recorded voicemail if you'd like more information. And there's a letter reference ID on each letter or postcard. And the voicemail says, hey, thanks for calling. Leave your name and number at the sound of the tone and the reference ID on the letter or the postcard that we sent you. And we will send you an offer in a couple days. That's it. So once a week, a couple times a week, we listen to our voicemails. We send them an offer. Usually it's about 35 to 40 cents on the dollar. So we just look the property up on Zillow or Redfin. We figure out what we could sell it for. We subtract our profit. We subtract our closing costs. We subtract our realtor commissions and maybe $1,000 for miscellaneous costs. And that's our offer. Usually that's at 35 to 40 cents on the dollar. And normally we don't talk to sellers until after they get our lowball offer. So let me explain this to you. You understand the power of this, guys? You understand, you don't have to talk to 20 sellers a day. You don't have to spend hours and hours of cold calling. All you need to do, send out some letters or postcards. We send these cheap, ugly 52-cent postcards, first-class mail. It goes to voicemail, and we handle all of this inside of freedomsoftjoe.com. It goes into the voicemail. We look at the deal. This is where my sons can help with this. We look at the deal. We send them an offer at about 35 cents on the dollar, and we get one out of every 20 accepted, 30 accepted. Even if it was 50, one out of every 50 that get accepted, guess what? If you want to do 2 deals, you got to make 100 offers. That's it. It's a simple numbers game. And then we only talk to them after they get our offer. And if they're interested and they want to negotiate or they have some questions or sometimes they just sign it, take a picture of it and text it back to us. A lot of the deals that we do, and I forgot to bring this one up with me, a lot of the deals that we do, we have these contracts that we get signed. They print them, they take a picture of it with their phone, and they text us back to us. And this is handled all inside of FreedomSoft, okay? So we don't talk to sellers until they accept our lowball offer. And on average, we're getting one out of every 25, 30 offers accepted. We're in one market right now, in a very competitive market, where we actually are talking to the sellers first. We still send them an offer. They call us, then we talk to them, and then we send them another offer. Because usually, we have some questions. We want to dig deeper into what's going on. We're getting one out of every 9 accepted. About maybe one out of every 10 offers that we're sending is accepted. Let me ask you something. Can you do that with houses? No. With houses, you got to negotiate with them on the phone. You're competing against 10 other investors that gave them an offer. And then you have to go to the house and look at it and build rapport and pretend you're interested in everything that's hanging. You pretend you're interested in fishing or hunting, whatever's on their wall. Build some fake rapport with them. And it's like, I don't want to do that. And a lot of you guys, you have English as a second language. You don't have good English, or it's usually not as bad as you think it is. But you could do this too. All right, so for me, bottom line with land, I wanted a business that would give me piles of cash, and streams of cash I wanted cash flow, right? Without things like tenants and repairs and maintenance, taking on a ton of debt, liability, worrying about Dodd-Frank, if you're familiar with seller financing. I don't want to worry about that because this is not residential real estate that we're selling. It's just raw vacant land. And most importantly for me, I want cash flow without worrying about mortgage payments to the bank, okay? I wanted a business that didn't take a lot of money to start, and this is what land does. I don't need any earnest money deposits. I don't need proof of funds. I just need a guide, a coach, a mentor. You need some software, a list of sellers, which is easy to get. You send some letters or postcards. You listen to voicemail 1 or 2 days a week. You send some offers, and you turn around and you advertise the property on sites like Facebook and Craigslist or Zillow or whatever. You pay a realtor $500 to put it on the MLS for you. That's it. So this business has low overhead. This business is simple. You can do it very, very part-time. You can be run from home or from anywhere in the world. You don't have to take on any debt to run it, and it wouldn't require you to do anything to the property. I don't like swinging hammers. I don't even like hiring people who swing hangers. Don't you know sometimes managing contractors is like adult daycare? How many of you can relate to that, right? It's hard to manage contractors. It's hard to find them. It's hard to manage them. And the prices with inflation has just gone through the roof. What if you could make the same profit or more doing vacant land without doing any repairs, without doing anything to the property? Remember, again, with vacant land, we're not subdividing it. We're not doing entitlements. We're not clearing trees. We're doing nothing. We never even go see it. We might send a photographer and a realtor to go look at it, but that's it. All right. Those of you spreadsheet nerds, who are my spreadsheet nerds out there? Okay. If you go to simplelandkit.com, right there, simplelandkit.com, I'm going to give you the spreadsheet. And the cool thing about this spreadsheet is I'm going to walk through this. And if it's really small, please just go ahead and maybe make your screen bigger. But I'm going to show you an example deal here of how this kind of works. Okay. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay. These are approximate numbers. Numbers are not guaranteed. Every market is different. Do your own due diligence. Invest at your own risk. But let's say you've got a 2.5 acre property that's worth $25,000. Typically, when we make an offer, we're going to make an offer at about 40%, let's say, of that. Now, sometimes we sell it with owner financing. Sometimes we sell it for cash. So if we're selling it with owner financing, we'll bump it up a little bit. We'll sell it for $26,000. If we're going to sell it for cash, we might sell it at a 15% discount. So we'll sell it for $21,000. We want to sell it fast. When we get our properties and we market them on the MLS, typically with a flat fee broker, we want it priced to be the cheapest one. So we're going to have an average of $1,000 in closing costs. I always use realtors. I highly recommend realtors. This solves the whole brokering without a license thing. And so total money into the deal is $13,000. Our wholesale profit, if we were to sell this for cash, after 15% discount, after paying a realtor 10%, after closing costs, et cetera, our net profit on this deal is $7,750. That's not bad, right? I hope you can see this. I'll zoom in again. But again, just go to simplelandkit.com and you get the spreadsheet. Now, let's say this same deal we sell with owner financing. We sell it for 5 years on a 5-year note at 9.5% interest. And let's say we get 5% down. Well, usually we get 10% down. So we get $2,600 down. So our amount financed is $23,000. Our total cash out of pocket is $10,875 on this deal. Now, for some of you, that may be a lot of money. Okay, but listen, there are ways you can get that money. You can borrow private money, or you can use your own money. You can put that on a credit card if you wanted to, right? So our monthly payments from the buyer are going to be $496 a month. Now look at this number here. This is the important number. The first year cash on cash return, 63%. Where else, guys? Where can you get 64% cash on cash return on your money in the first year? That's after all of your expenses, buying the land, paying a realtor, et cetera, right? And how long do you get your money back? 1.57 years. This is why I love land so much. 63%. Let's say it was half of that. 30% cash on cash return on your money. Again, with houses using leverage and debt after down payments and repairs and maintenance and vacancies and all of that stuff, you're lucky. You're doing really good if you get 10%, 12, 15% cash on cash return on your money in the first year. But with vacant land, again, you should be doing much, much more than that. So let's say this typical deal here, 2.5 acres, it's worth 25 grand. You buy it for 10. And again, this is why I say you're buying this at 40%. This is so easy to borrow private money on these deals because your private investors are really protected. All right, so on that deal, your cash out of pocket on this deal is, after all of your expenses and stuff, it's $10,875, right? Now, how many of those deals would you need where you're getting $496 a month in cash flow, almost $500 a month in cash flow? How many of those deals would you need to get to, let's say, $100,000 a year? When I ask people, what's your goal? What do you want to make per year? What would help you quit your job? It's usually around 100 grand a year, right? And so that would be $8,300 a month. You would need about 17 properties like that. What if you just did one a month? One of these deals a month, it would take you 17 months or 1.5 years to be able to quit your job. Now, let me ask you, how many houses would you need to buy to be able to quit your job, where your net cash flow is maybe $200, $300 a month? And by the way, again, with houses, most people know this if you've been in the rental game. Like, you're lucky, even with debt, that if you're cash flowing $200 a month net after vacancies, maintenance, repairs, future capital expenditures, property management fees, planning for all of that. And most of that $200 a month that you're getting in cash flow, you should be setting that aside, but that's going to be lost in a couple, 3 years when you have to replace the water heater, repair the roof. You have a tenant that was didn't pay rent for 2 or 3 months. You finally kicked them out. You put $5-6 grand into fixing the property back up. Then you have to wait another 2 months till you get a new tenant. Then you have to pay the property management company another 1 month's rent for finding a tenant fee, and you've lost 5 months in lost rent. Again, I'm not saying houses are bad. That there is a place for that. You should be good diversified. But you just don't have to mess with that with vacant land. If you're selling land on owner financing and getting cash flow from land on owner financing, guys, if a person stops paying, oh well, find another buyer. Find somebody else. You don't have a mortgage you have to pay or worry about. You picking up what I'm laying down? This is why I love vacant land so much. All right, so that spreadsheet, I can show you a few other things in the spreadsheet that are pretty cool. Like when I'm making offers, I typically look at, there's a couple things here. So there's a way, when I'm like comping properties, I look at the average or median price per acre for active listings and the median price per acre for sold listings. And I get the lowest, the highest. I pick something in the middle. But the other thing, this is how easy it is to make offers, okay? Just look at these cells right here. When I'm making offers, I figure, wait, what can I sell this property for? If I see that there's a bunch of properties that are currently listed for $27,000, $37,000, I mean, $27,000 to $30,000, I want to price mine aggressively to sell it fast in 1 or 2 months. All right. So if I see everything else is selling for 30 grand, I'm going to sell mine for 25 grand. Okay. And I try to make at least a $10,000 wholesale fee on every one of my deals. I pay generous real estate commissions. This is why I can sell them so fast. And this is why I can get realtors to do all of the selling work for me, because I pay super generous commissions and I give them a $1,000 bonus if they sell it within 30 days. Oh, this is a whole nother topic, a YouTube video I could do. But like, imagine if you called realtors that had sold vacant land recently near yours and said, hey, listen, I see you sold a property here. It's just a mile or two away from mine. I'm looking for a buyer. I'm an investor from Missouri. I'm looking for a buyer. And if you can bring me a buyer, I'd be willing to pay you 10% commissions and an extra $1,000 in commission bonus if you can bring me a buyer that can close in 30 days. Would you be interested or would not? That's fine if you don't have any buyers. I've got 10 or other realtors that I'm calling right now in the area. Can you imagine what the realtor, they're hearing dollar signs? You're not asking them to list your property. You're not asking them to do a bunch of work and take a bunch of photos and deal with the hassle of selling land, because sometimes it can be hard if it's not priced right. You're telling them, I will pay you money. All you have to do is make some phone calls and send some text messages. So we get realtors that get all excited and they know who the buyers are who are buying land in that area, and they will give us offers. And then they don't care that we don't own the property yet, that we just want to do an assignment or, we'll do a double close or whatever. They don't care. They've got a buyer. We're selling these deals at great discounts. You understand what I'm saying? All right. So it's easy to find realtors to sell your deals for you. And you don't have to worry about the brokering without a license issues and all of that rigmarole. All right. So I'm giving now realtor 10% commissions, a $1,000 bonus. If you're borrowing private money, I usually pay my private investors 8 to 10%. You might have, $500 for miscellaneous costs or paying for somebody to take drone footage. We always get pictures taken of our properties, and we use a website called Thumbtack normally to find photographers in our areas. And we pay maybe $750, $1,000 in closing costs. Okay. And now our offer is going to be 10 grand. That's it. We're not worried about estimating for repairs. We're not looking for similar homes that were within 15% square feet that were built within 5 years from each other or whatever in a half-mile radius. We're just looking at what could we sell it for. Let's subtract our costs, and that's our offer. And sometimes this will be 40%, 50%, 20% of what the property is worth or what we're listing it for. That's how we make our offers. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Listen, again, if you want more information about all of this, get my free land kit while it's available, while it's free, at simplelandkit.com. Appreciate you all. Subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. I appreciate you all. We'll see you. Bye-bye. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching these videos. If you like my channel at all, please hit the subscribe button. Get the notification bell thing clicked so you can get notified when new videos come out. Really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, all right? Thank you.